The Vav. The essence of the Vav is connection, redemption, and transformation. The form is of a man standing upright or a hook, and the grammatic value is 6. With regards to connection, the complete word Vav means hook. The single letter, also called Vav, represents the word and. In both, the concept of connection is obvious. The word and connects words and sentences, thoughts and ideas, chapters and books. Its absence usually indicates that a new direction is being taken. The continuity is broken. Unlike English grammar, the books of Exodus, Leviticus and Numbers all begin with the word and, Vav. Genesis says in the beginning, and then the next 3 books and. This is a powerful way of impressing on us that from Genesis 1:1 right through to the end of Numbers, we are reading the record of a continuous series of interlocked events, like a string of binary code, and that's exactly how the Jews believe that Moses received the first 4 books of the Torah, a string of letters with no spaces between. It truly is the word, not the words. The book of Deuteronomy stands alone, and we'll look at that in further videos. This Hebrew characteristic of employing the Vav to stress continuity and connectedness also characterizes the New Testament book, which is most closely linked with the opening books of the Bible, the book of Revelation. The end, you see, revisits the beginning. Of a total of 333 verses, 256 begin with and. The implication is that the events of the tribulation period spoken of in the book of Revelation have an intense interconnectedness. Like birth pangs, one thing follows upon another with the inevitability of a chain reaction, and we'll look more closely at this in later videos. The theme of connection, so powerful in the Vav, is related to the second characteristic of the Vav, redemption. From one point of view, all forms of redemption are reconnection, reconnecting with something that has been disconnected. The Vav therefore speaks of the work of Yeshua Goelenu, Jesus, our Redeemer. Everything associated with Jesus has the power of redeeming brokenness. The temple and tabernacle were places where people congregated. All of the offerings speak of his redeeming work that reconnects people to God and to one another. The bronze serpent in the wilderness had to be visible by all and therefore drew people together. The rock that was ever present in the wilderness and gushed forth with water was Christ himself, and we can imagine how the Israelites gathered around the fresh, sparkling stream every morning. Wells are still a great place for village folk to meet, and we'll spend a bit more time on this great subject in the videos. Everything to do with Jesus draws people together. This redeeming work is also seen in the unique power of the Vav to reverse time. By adding it to a verb that is in the past tense, that past tense verb instantly becomes future tense, and vice versa. In terms of its reference to Christ, this illustrates that the Redeemer is able to redeem the mistakes of our past and redeem our hearts and minds from anxiety about the future. And I'll explain this in the videos. Christ's redeeming work is not confined to this dimension. It reaches into the dimension of time. Now, all of what I've said about connection and redemption applies to the third characteristic, transformation. If our reconnection to our Father in heaven through the redemptive work of Christ isn't transformational, then nothing is. Spiritually, we were instantly transformed the moment we put our faith in Christ. A miracle of reconnection occurred. We were transformed from the children of this world, destined for destruction, into God's children, marked for salvation. Physically, and in our daily lives, the transformation from one degree of glory to another continues throughout our lives. The anomalies within the Hebrew text always have a story to tell, and no letter has as many of them as the vav. There are enlarged vavs and diminished vavs, and there is even a vav in the word shalom that is broken. There are words that have been purposely misspelt by the lack of a vav, again concealing a message. Why, for instance, is the word for light spelt correctly at the beginning of Genesis 1 and misspelt later on in that same chapter? Why is the word for generations misspelt in certain chosen places? And why does the word holy appear in the same sentence, first with the correct spelling and then with a missing vav? These vavs and the words that lack them are like bottles in the sands of the Bible that contain rolled up messages that shouldn't be overlooked.